Don't fight the darkness, just light a candle. Episode 33.
Welcome to the show.
Take Me Out to the Ball Game, sung by Edward Meeker, Edison Randall.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. This is Will Sinclair and you're listening to The Real Truth About You. This is a show where we help you to become the best that you can be by helping you with inspiring stories, interviews, and all kinds of things to just help you, inspire you, and move you forward in your life. So today we're going to be, I have a quote for you, a little bit of a story about this whole thing about not fighting darkness and just lighting a candle. And then we've got got a tip for you. I got a quote that said, a little bit of a teaching. We're going to be talking about externals. And at the end here, I have a recipe for an awesome spare ribs and sauce meal. And it's something that my wife makes all the time. And we got it out of a recipe book, actually, that it was a priest's parish fundraiser cookbook. You know how people get recipes together and put things in a book and they sell them. Well, this one was done way back when people were still using typewriters, before there was computers, and certainly not things like iPads like we got right now. And so anyway, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you here. So I want to talk to you a little bit about there's a quote here, and today's quote is from the people at goodreads.com, and it's from Walt Whitman. And Walt Whitman has a statement, and he says, "Keep your face toward the sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you." I think that's such a true thing. When you keep your face towards the sunshine, the shadows will fall behind you, and you don't see the shadows as you move towards the light. And why would you want to fight darkness? I remember being afraid one night, and I can't remember if it was a kid or not, but probably it was an adult. And I remember just waking up really scared, and it was dark, and you know how in the dark you always think about things, and all of a sudden I realized, turn the light on. So I turned the light on, and of course immediately I started feeling better, and I think I fell asleep with the light on. Didn't have to, but I did. And anyway, I got reading Richard Rohr's book in The Immortal Diamond, and he has, if you go to cac.org, the Center for Action and Contemplation, you can actually download, he'll actually send you either his daily, weekly, or monthly meditations. And in one of those meditations, it talks about fighting darkness, about fighting the evils and the bad habits in your life. And it says that you shouldn't spend your time doing that. You shouldn't spend your time trying to fight all the bad things in your life, because that's not a good use of your time, a good use of your energy, and it won't result in any positive or measurable positive results that you really are happy with. And he talks about what you need to do is you need to look to the source. You need to look to God. You need to look to the light, to the divine within you, to the goodness that is within you. And it's when you look and you move towards the light, all the crud and all the crappy things in your life will eventually fall away. All the things that have been bugging you, the bad habits. Maybe you've been going to most guys go to websites that are pretty not the best sites to go to. It's like in the Gospels, in the Christian Bible, St. Paul says that nothing is bad for him, but some things are not good. It's basically what he says. And it's because when he walks to the divine, when you walk towards God, then those things fall away from you. They fall away from you. And it's like when you go into a room that's dark, and I've talked about this before, you turn the light on, right? You turn the light on, and all of a sudden the darkness is gone, right? You didn't have to sit in the room and fight with the darkness and try and push the darkness out of the window or push the darkness underneath the door into the hallway, right, to try and get some light. You just flick a light on, and automatically everything that's dark falls away. So the closer you get to God, the closer you get to your source, the divine within you, closer to God, all the other crap will take care of itself, right? I'm not saying you won't have to deal with other things. Like I remember being addicted to smoking. And if you're a smoker, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying for me it was bad for my health. We were always taking our kids to the doctors, and it was funny because after I quit, we noticed 6 months later where we used to take the kids to the doctors every 2 weeks for different things. We never noticed it so much, but once I stopped smoking, then it was funny. All of a sudden, we weren't taking the kids to the doctors anymore. After 6 months, I had quit smoking. But I found that I tried to quit smoking so often, and it's such an addiction, such a rooted habit that it was really hard for me to get over. But I found that the closer I came towards God, whether I knew it or not, maybe I didn't really realize I was coming to that source, but I just knew there was something in me that was causing me to smoke, some lack or some weakness in me that was causing me to want to smoke or have the benefits of the fulfillment of smoking. And I knew that once that was healed or dealt with, that I would quit smoking. And I did go for a lot of counseling for abuse issues in my life, for anger and things like that. And although I don't believe that counseling is the full way to go, it's like halfway to go. You need God in there. But once something had been dealt with, and I don't even know what it was, then I was able to finally quit smoking. And I'm not saying it wasn't hard, because it was very hard to quit smoking. It was just rooted in my body. That's what St. Paul says. Says it doesn't mean to say that it's always bad as a judgment call, right? But it's not good. He says, I'm not going to be addicted to something or allow it to control my life, is basically what St. Paul was saying. But that's what smoking had done. But the thing is, the closer I got to my root, the easier it was to make the decision and to go through the process, right? And it did start to fall away. And I know there was graces that came with that, right? So remember, you don't have to fight the darkness. You don't have to be going after the evil in your life. Just get closer to the light. Just get closer to the light. Keep your face towards sunshine. Keep your face towards God. Okay, I have got a tip coming up for you. Okay, this tip is from Remove and Replace, and I guess they call them life hacks, right? And this is about using, you know how you get those toilet paper rolls that you don't know what to do with them after? If you've got kids, you save them up because there's always some kind of craft that they do with them, binoculars or make telescopes or make castles. Or one of my girls used to do anything crafty with just about anything you could find. So toilet rolls were something we always kept. But have you ever thought of the gift wrap paper that you have? The gift wrapping paper, especially when you get closer to like Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas, or birthdays, if you celebrate birthdays, whatever that is. But you have this gift wrap, and I always find myself trying to roll up this big tube of gift wrap, and it always seems to come undone, and then I end up taking a piece of tape, sticky tape, and sealing the roll down. But next, when you go to take it off, you're ripping paper and things. Well, I was at I was at this website, removeandreplace.com, and they had this, and the image is on the website there, and about how you take these toilet rolls and you just take a pair of scissors and you cut along the one length of one edge, and one edge is a circle, but you know what I'm saying. You cut along one length of the tube so that the tube actually opens up a little bit. It's got a springy action to it. Then all you have to do is wrap it around your gift wrap, right? And assuming the tube isn't too big for the gift wrap, the chances are it's going to hold it and stop your paper from unraveling, because usually the tube that the gift wrap comes in is about the same size as a toilet roll tube. So yeah, so there you go. What you can do with your toilet rolls when you're done with them. Who would have thunk, eh? Anyway, I've got a bit of music that's going to transition into the next piece, and I want you to listen to the music. It's a blues song, and just listen to the first verse of it. Okay, here it goes.
Tammy, oh Tammy, tell me you love me, but I know it's a lie, and I wonder why you don't love me anymore.
No, I just love the blues. I gotta say that.
Tammy, oh Tammy.
Yeah, so love's gone and done me wrong and left me. And how many times have we experienced that in life? I know I have. And I want to talk to you a little bit about using externals in your life. And I'm talking about externals like, the things like when you use outside things to define you or to make you happy or to give you fulfillment in your life. And, the statement like everything was going fine until I lost my job or my girlfriend or whatever, that, or this person started getting upset with me and everything was going fine until that point. And anyway, my wife is always saying that when you come into a relationship, say, right, just using a relationship as an example, if you're using your partner or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever to make you happy, then there's something wrong with your relationship, because you should already come into your relationship as a fulfilled and happy person. I'm not saying that you cannot have a relationship unless you have that, unless you are like that. But it's a lot easier because when you deal with your stuff first, when you have found your true self, your inner self, you've gone on that journey. And something came to me when I talk about journey is I used to think about this whole discovering your true self as a journey. You start here and you continue and you go and you move forward. And I used to see like a timeline almost, like I would see an actual journey beginning with steps. And I would be walking along that journey. And as I'm walking along that journey, I'm becoming more aware, more enlightened, if you want to say that. And just discovering God more and more on the path. And I actually came into this realization in my journal as I was writing that my spiritual director kept telling me, it's not a journey. She'd say, it's not a journey. And I would say, but it is a journey. I'm on a journey. And I think for a year, she just let me just go on this perceived journey. And I was writing in my journal one day, and all of a sudden I realized, it's funny because we tell our kids things all the time and you keep saying the same thing over and over, and then all of a sudden one of their friends tell them the same thing, and they come in the house and they go, guess what Johnny told me, or guess what Samantha said, and it's the exact same thing you've been telling them for years, and all of a sudden it makes sense to them. Well, I had this aha moment too, and I wrote down in my journal, and I was writing about the journey, and all of a sudden it just popped out into my awareness that it's not a journey of time, and not a journey of time. It's not a journey of distance, right? As you progress, and I was imagining this walk, this journey, track through the hills or whatever it was, to find the true me, because you always end up where you began, right at where you began, and where you began is with you. The only difference is you now have a renewed vision of who you are and who God is in your life. So what I'm saying is about this journey, because I went down this rabbit hole, is don't allow the externals. Try and come to a relationship already healed, I guess. But we don't always come healed, and we don't come that way. We always bring our baggage into a relationship. And then we always bring our baggage into our life, into our jobs, into everything that we do. We have this baggage that we carry around with us. And this baggage is our false self, our ego. And our ego is not a bad thing. And I've said this before. Our ego gets us up in the morning. It gets us dressed. It gets us out. It gets us doing things. It gets us interacting with other people. And we need this ego, okay? But we can't use the ego to define ourselves with it. And our ego will always try to gain the most power. When it comes to discovering our true self, when you, to use like it would probably be a limiting example, it's like when you are created, you are a diamond. Like you are a beautiful diamond. And I've said, look at a baby. A baby doesn't come with all the baggage, doesn't come with all the preconceived notions about life. It doesn't believe it's ugly. It doesn't have opinions about other people. It doesn't relate to the world in the ways that we now relate to the world as an adult, where we look at things and we decipher things in ways that are harmful to ourselves. A baby comes out pure, like a beautiful diamond. And what we've done over our period, we've allowed our ego, which our ego tries to define or make sense out of the call in our life for better, for more. Who am I? Why am I here? What's my purpose on this earth? Why was I created? And our ego tries to make sense out of that by deciphering what we see and what we bring in. So if we bring in things that tell us that we have to compete to be something, then our ego will tell us that the more we compete, because we see people who compete in business and life and sports, especially in sports, people compete, and the ones who rise to the top are the cream. Those are the ones the media pays attention to. Those are the ones that people say, oh, my son, he's a surgeon. Oh, my daughter, she is this or that, right? Or she's a successful business entrepreneur. Or my whoever, she's a missionary or a pastor. And we look at all the cream of the crop things, and that's all our ego defining us. If we have to say, I am this, to make ourselves feel good, that's your ego telling you that. That is not God telling you that. That is not your true self. That is not the diamond, the beautiful diamond you were created to be. What that is clay that you've wrapped around the diamond, that you keep taking and you grab something, a statement somebody says, like, oh, If you really want to succeed, you have to do your homework. Plap. On goes a piece of clay onto our diamond. That part that says, unless I get good grades in school, I'm a failure. I'm a dropout. You go along and somebody says, oh my gosh, you've got to have you look at TV and you've got to have the latest car or the latest hairstyle, and you don't have it. Bam, another piece of clay goes on there. I can't be as good as them because I don't have that. Or you see these supermodels or people who are good looking and superstars walking the red carpet, and you're not that. Bam, on goes another piece of clay. Right? I am not that. I'm not a superstar. Really? You're not a superstar? On goes that clay. Until eventually all we have is this big clump of clay. And then we talk about, we've taken that clay and we've said, we are clay in the potter's hand. And we talk about God being the potter who molds us and fashions us, right? But really what we need is the clay to be removed. We think that if we fashion and mold this clay, that we'll become our true selves. And that is our ego. Our ego is even penetrating into our religion, our view of who God is. My ego told me that God is a punishing God because my mother, and I love my mother dearly, and she's moved on, and she's dead now, but she was very much like that. That when you do good, God loves you. And when you do bad, something's going to happen. God's going to correct you. That is not the God that the Jesus of the Bible showed us. The God of love. When you live in perfect love, when you live your true self, the beautiful diamond, when you uncover all that crap, all that clay, and you become again what you already are, that beautiful diamond. And I know that even that term diamond can be limiting, but I don't know a stronger term that means infinite beauty, infinite glory, infinite everything. You become God, and I'm not being sacrilegious. You become God who is within you, and you become part of God, the greater. So we're on this journey, and I say that in inverted commas, to not allow our externals to define us, because the externals is just our ego. And when we use our ego as our reference point, we'll never be able to find who we are, because it's our ego defining what our ego is. If that makes sense to you, you need a strong anchor point. I remember working construction, and one of the things, at least they used to do, I don't know if they still do it, but when I worked construction and they were going to build a house, we would get a team of surveyors to come out, and they would survey the land, and they would use equipment that gives a true elevation, a height of the land, and all kinds of things. And then they would plant a post, like a wooden post in the ground, a reference point. And that point would say, everything you do from here, you make level, right? And so when they start building the foundation, and they level off the foundation that the house is going to be put on, then everything is measured from that reference point to make sure that everything is level. Everything is eyed up, and all the leveling equipment that they use and instruments that they use to make sure the house is level and straight. Because everything comes from that one reference point. So if you use God as your reference, your divine, who never ever changes, then you're using a solid reference. But if you're using your ego, it's like throwing a rubber ball into the ocean. It goes all over the place. All over the place. And you can never measure, you can never guess. 1 minute is here, 1 minute is there, 1 minute is up, 1 minute is down. You don't know. So when you allow your ego to be your reference point, when you allow your externals to define you, to make you happy, then you're really going to be lost. I don't know what other words to say for that. You need to not allow externals. Plus, what happens when the external leaves? What if you have an awesome job and you get paid really, really well, and you are able to buy things that you've never bought before, and life is good, your relationship is good, your kids, if you have anything, is good. Then all of a sudden, you lose your job. Every day you've been going to work and people like you or they don't like you, but you really like your job and it's really affirming you, right? It's really affirming you and it's really validating. That's the word I really want, is validating you. And then you lose it. Then what? You have to find something else. That happened to me. I got a job in management, helping start a company up. And it was an established company starting a new franchise, a new branch. And I went through this job and it paid super well. Super well. The best paying job I've ever had. But then things happened. And I wasn't the greatest at the job, but I did it. And then some politics happened and one thing and the other, and it just wasn't meant for me to be there. Right? And I think it was like a year later, I ended up losing my job. I couldn't find a job for another year and a half. I was too old for a lot of jobs and not old, that kind of thing. Anyway, but the point is I lost the job. I lost this really good income. And I had to really search for who I was. So don't allow externals to define you, to fulfill you. They can make you happy, right? I'm not saying don't enjoy externals. I'm not saying don't enjoy your job, your career, or anything. But don't put your whole life into it, because it's not your life. Your life is what's inside you. Let God within define who you are. Okay? Start reading books that help you search and rediscover God within you. You can go to Richard Rohr. He's a Catholic contemplative priest, Franciscan, and you go to cac.org. Okay, cac.org, Center for Action and Contemplation. And you can sign up for their stuff. Okay, you can read different books that will help you, or audios, or watch DVDs and things like that. Whatever helps you find the true self within, God within. All right. I have got some transition music. We're going to go down to the kitchen again. Strutting down to the kitchen. Okay, I got a recipe here for spare ribs and sauce, and this is a really good recipe. We've used it tons and tons and tons and tons of times. And I'm trying to find my glasses to read this thing to you. Okay, so here we go. This will make spare ribs that's in a sauce that's like you're doing it in a roaster pan, right? So it creates a really nice sauce. So if you really like saucy stuff, and I'm not talking about just the sauce that you that you paste over ribs in a barbecue. I'm talking about the kind of sauce like when you make a roast, or you make what do you call it? Oh, I can't remember. It's going to come to me later. But anyway, it's something you can pour over rice and that kind of stuff, and it's a really juicy and it's really super tasty. Anyway, this comes from a recipe. The book is called Father Kamath's Recipe Book, and it's actually a woman called Diane Langevin, and it's one of her recipes that she put in this book. And this is an old book, right? So I don't even know where these people are. It's a book that my wife had. So anyway, spare ribs and sauce. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about it and give you the recipe, but it'll be on the website. You can go to realtruthaboutyou.com. Oh, this is a little different. Okay, so shake a little paprika on 3 to 4 inch spare ribs. Okay, about 3 to 4 pounds in weight is what you want for a nice family size of 6, say 5 or 6 people. So 3 to 4 pounds of spare ribs, and about 3 to 4 inches long. Sprinkle a little paprika on them, and then brown the spare ribs in a shallow pan in about 400 degrees Fahrenheit in the oven. Okay, so just let them brown. So, and here's the mixture that you're going to do for the sauce. Half a cup of chopped onion. And remember, this is all on the website, so you have to write this down. Half a cup of chopped onion, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of paprika, 1 tablespoon of salt, a quarter cup of white vinegar, a small 10-ounce can of tomato soup, a dash or 2 of barbecue sauce, 1 teaspoon of dry mustard, a quarter teaspoon of chili powder, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. I don't know if I said that right, but Worcestershire sauce. A quarter cup of tomato ketchup, and then I don't know if in the UK it might be called tomato sauce or catsup or something, and half a cup of water. And then when the spare ribs are brown, okay, take them out of the pan and put them in the roasting pan and pour the sauce mixture that you've mixed all together, right? Pour it all over your spare ribs in this roaster, and then cover it, and then bake it for 2.5 to 3 hours in the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, and like I said, it becomes a really saucy meal, and you can serve it with mashed potatoes, or you can serve it with or on rice. Okay, so this is a really cool recipe. It's a really delicious. I mean, I love it. My kids always have it when they come over. That's one of the when my wife says, "What would you like me to cook?" Right, that's one of the recipes that they always ask for her to cook. So you can go to therealtruthaboutyou.com and go to episode 33, and you'll be able to download the spare ribs and sauce, and also you'll see an image about when I talked about the toilet roll tubes. All right, so go there, do that, and yeah. Oh, I got a bit of fun music here. I was looking for some old public domain. I'm really lost for words today. Public domain music, and I found this, and I thought it's an original version, and you might have heard this before. It's a pretty famous song.
Take Me Out to the Ball Game, sung by Edward Meeker, Edison Records. Casey was baseball mad, had the fever and had it bad. Just to root for the hometown crew every Sioux, Casey Blue. On a Saturday, her young beau called to see if she'd like to go to see a show, but Miss Kate said no. I'll tell you what you can do. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Okay, so there we go. Take me out to the ball game. And you've probably heard that. Well, especially if you're from the U.S., you probably heard it a lot. I remember listening when I first came to Canada in 1981. I grew up in Scotland, and we used to play this game called Rounders. And because you would get the ball and you would hit it with a bat, and then you would go around and round to these spots, these 4 spots in the field. And we call it rounders because you went round and round, and they would try and throw the ball and get you out. But when you're 8 years old or so, you get too old for it. And then I came to Canada in 1981, and all of a sudden I saw this game, and it's called baseball. And it's a multi-billion-dollar sport. So anyway, there you go, baseball. So anyway, thanks for listening in and tuning in today to The Real Truth About You. And you can go to our website, therealtruthaboutyou.com. You can download the recipe. You can download a bunch of other things. And anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, lighter and brighter. And I love you lots. And you guys absolutely rock.